There are some more inserts to be done. The next ones are phone numbers. And if we look at the columns in the phone number table, there are two. The first one is a phone number and the second one is a user ID. Both are characters. So we're going to insert into, the table that we're going to insert into is phone numbers or phone number. And then the values. And we're going to completely fill it so we don't have to worry about putting the column list. The first one is the phone number. The second one is a user ID. So I can come up here and select a user ID from up here. I might as well grab those quotes while I'm after it and put it there. Now I want to test this out, see if it works before I do all the others. And I insert it. And there we go. It worked. So now that I've got it working, I want to go ahead and finish the rest of them. So I'm going to need 12 of these. I'm going to leave a space here so I know that one I've done. And I need to get it for each user. So I can come up here and make sure I get each user. And fill it in and then change the phone numbers. And I'll pause while you work on yours. So I want to copy these additional ones that I did, not the first one I've already done, and paste it in a new query and execute it and see if they all worked. There we go. They were all inserted. Next is to add 2 courses. So we want to check what's required in the courses. So look at their columns and see all the things that we need to add. This can be your chance to add your favorite course. We're going to use the same command, insert into, but now we're going to insert into course and values. Now, the list of values we can find in the column. But here's a first detail that we have, and that is that our course ID, if we go back and check our details, is an identity. And an identity means that the system will automatically generate a value for us. So we don't need to include that one. We can start with the course number and department. So there's the course number and department. Then next is the title and description. Here, make your own. What do you want these to be called? And then the number of credits. So title, description, number of credits. This one will be a number, so it won't be in quotes. And we want to take this and run a query on it. And execute, and it worked, which means we can use it again to make the next one. I'll pause, you go ahead and make your own. Okay, I got mine written up and now I'm going to execute it. And there we go, that was added. Next is location, and if we check location, we have 3 things here. Location ID, again an identity that will be produced by the system, we don't need to include that. A building, which is made out of characters, 3 of them, and a room number. So we follow the same pattern. Insert into location values, and here we list them. We need to put the building. This is going to be the art building, and the room number, and this is a number. And make sure it works before we keep doing them. Oh, I forgot the comma. So I want to change it there and in here. And making errors like this is just common and easy to fix. So go ahead and create 3 locations. I add mine here and execute. And now let's go look at these. So let's look at the location and see what happens when it does its own. So I'm just going to select top 1000 rows. And it comes up and shows me all these And it comes up and shows me all the locations, and we can see here the last 3 that were entered. And notice how it generated a new number for the ID. And it will just simply increment by 1 each time. If you delete one of these, that's fine. That means that number will be missing, but there's no rule that it has to all be complete. So you can go ahead and delete items too and not worry about that they're not sequential. But that's what you get with an identity. And notice if you don't specify, the identity starts at 1, but you can specify if you want a beginning number. The next one is to add 3 sections. And if we check out the sections table and look at their columns, we see that the first one is the section number. This is an identity that we will not have to fill out. And then we have 2 foreign keys, an instructor that is a foreign key into the user table and a course that is a foreign key into the course table. So we'll have to use actual numbers that are in those. And then a semester, a year, and a location, again, a foreign key. So we'll work with those locations as well. So insert into section, values, and the first thing we need is an instructor. So if we go up here, we can find one. There's an instructor right there. Use the primary key part and bring that down. And then the next one is a course. So if we go up into our courses, now notice we do not have the primary key here. So we're going to have to, because we didn't enter it, it's an identity one. So we're going to have to go look that up in the course table. And we're going to simply right click and select top 1,000 rows. And we'll see that we have course numbers available 1 through 9. So we can put a course number and then a semester, summer, and a year. And the last thing that we need is a location. And again, that's going to come from locations that we've already entered, and we'll have to check and see what those values are. So they are 1 through 9 as well. So we can add a room location. Then we can test this out to see if it works before we make any more. Do a new query and execute, and it worked. So we can make 2 more of those. I'll pause. Once you get them, go ahead and put them in and execute them. And there you've got them added. We're almost done. We have some registrations to do and a prerequisite. We'll check out the registration, find out what columns are needed in that. That's a user ID, a section number, and a grade that can be null. So again, we're going to use the values that are in the system. We're going to enter it into registration, and the values that we're going to use are a student ID. So if we go up and we find a student, there we go, there's one. And a section ID. And that's all we need. Nope, and then there's a grade. So let's say that this person got, these are characters, right? And they're limited what they can be, a B-. Test it out. And execute, and it worked. All right, we've got 12 of these to do, 6 with grades and 6 without grades. So go ahead and create those. Let's do one without a grade first. So one without a grade means it would be null right here. So I can go ahead and get a student. Here's another student. And a section. And null. So this one doesn't have a grade yet. So when I put this in here and run it, it also works. So go ahead and do 6 with grades and 6 without. All right, let's copy them out and see how they work. And execute. And they all entered. Now if you get an error here, you'll just go ahead and fix it. If you get a duplication of student, user, and course or section number, that won't allow it since that's a combined primary key. The last thing we need to do is 2 prerequisite records. And prerequisites have a course ID and a prerequisite course ID. Both of these come from the course table. So they're both foreign keys and they're both course numbers. So we're going to insert into prerequisite values. And here we want 2 course IDs. So remember that the course IDs go from 1 to 9. So we can use those. And we can specifically say, networking, CS 2810, the prerequisite for that could be 1400. So then this first is the course number. And in this case, networking is number 8. And then the prerequisite number, which is 1400, so that would be 3. We need one more. We can do art is a prerequisite to art, so 9, and the prerequisite is 7. So 9 and the prerequisite is 7. So you go ahead and find some that'll work for you, and then do a new query, and execute. And there, we've added all of the inserts that were needed.